You're listening now to the Real Estate Lab with Bayut. Hi everyone and welcome back to the Real Estate Labs with Bayut.com. Today I am joined by a veteran in Dubai real estate, the CEO of AQUA Properties, Paul Christodoulou. Paul, welcome, how are you?
Thanks mate, all good, thank you very much for having me.
You've been involved in real estate for a long time here, in terms of luxury and many different dynamics of the market. But now you're at AQUA, second spell. How's it going?
Yeah, good. I think I'm back now 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
We're on track. We've opened up several offices.
Yep.
Company has grown. Our developments team has certainly grown. The branches are doing very well. Now we need to work on a bit of head office. Going to do a refurb at some point soon, and then look at moving on. We have a few other plans for other offices, one or two under conversation right now.
Okay, and we're not going to get an exclusive here today, no?
I can't do that. Not until that contract is signed.
What's been happening in AQUA Properties? What are you up to these days?
Well, I think we've really diversified our team. So we've now got several teams. Originally it was just one team, and then we've really strengthened from an off-plan team perspective. Secondary has really grown, and obviously then that mushroomed into several branches. And then our developments team, they're actually in Glasgow as we speak. They're on their way back from a roadshow over there. Okay. Because obviously we're a very diverse company in terms of what we offer. Not only are we brokerage, obviously we're a developer as well, property management, and so on and so forth. With 250, I think 230 in the company at the moment. When I first joined, it was 32. So many years ago, but yeah, and I think once you kind of find out that once you grow in certain geographic locations, it's about strengthening and then being strong in that location, giving good value to the clients, and being the go-to company for that area.
In terms of having branches, how important is that for a real estate agency? What benefits does it give you?
I think it's huge. And I think it's going to become even more significant in the next few years as the Dubai population increases further, traffic. You know, RTA can build 1,000 roads, but the population is going to carry on. And as such, I think from a client perspective, but also from a broker perspective, many years ago when I was brokering, you know, if I had to go to my area, I was a broker in Al Barari mostly, and you know, my office was on Sheikh Zayed Road, and it was like, then it was 25 minutes there. That's probably 40 minutes there now. And you go there once or twice a day. That's a lot of travel and wasted time. So I think it's important to have offices within a community that you're going to focus in, and then it's just easier for the client. For the client to pop in and have a coffee with you, or for you to go and have a chat with them around their villa or their apartment, whatever it may be. It's a 5-10 minute drive versus what could be half an hour there, half an hour back.
Yeah. And in terms of these locations that you've picked, is there any particular reason for them?
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Really.
Quite high-end tickets, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, so we all our offices were through Dubai Properties / Maras. We actually, I'll give you a bit of a tip, that's one or two conversations we're having right now.
There we go.
But yeah, I mean, we chose them in particular because of the opportunity for the brokers. That's what it's all about, it's giving opportunity for the brokers, right? And obviously then it's about dominating within that area and making sure that we're the market leader, or we at least have a certain limit, a certain amount of market share. Otherwise, what's the point of being there?
Of course.
Right? But I mean, I'll give you an example. We closed a unit. I had lunch with one of my guys yesterday, and he was telling me that he did a sale, I think it was announced on Friday, in La Mer, 3-bedroom apartment, I think it was. And it was a walk-in.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, we had a walk-in walk-in client in Blue Waters about a month ago, and he or she spent about 15 million on their property as well. So the fact that we're getting walk-ins coming into the office
to that price point,
it's fantastic. And again, that's the whole point of the agents having that opportunity in those branches.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you look at the sort of more Western markets, let's say UK, multi-branch is massive there. Can you see more real estate agencies going down that route in the future then?
I hope not.
Just you?
Just us, yeah. No, but that is the kind of model. I think from a secondary market perspective, that is, I think, the model that people are going to have to go to. Yeah. Because, 10, 15 years ago, when it was either, you're either in downtown or you're in Marina, that was kind of it, maybe a bit in Business Bay. I think those days have changed. Real estate companies are all over town now. Yeah. And again, I think it's just ease for brokers. I mean, it's costly, don't get me wrong. It costs a lot of money, especially if you're going to get in offices such as La Mer, right on the waterfront. Likewise in Blue Waters, we're literally opposite Ain Dubai.
And the sort of mall area,
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah, so we're literally opposite Ain Dubai and Madame Tussauds.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so it's a great location. The office is really nice. We've really spent a lot of money on it. But it's a long-term plan, and it certainly has paid off.
Good.
Le Maire was the last one to open in, I think, August, September last year, and we've just dominated that location.
Amazing.
It helps that the team that went in had the right mindset, and they were several team members, and they're competitive with each other in a friendly way, which is how it should be. And yeah, we've really done well down there.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about market trends, returns, and what is the future of Dubai real estate looking like. Looking back over the last quarter, first of all, did you notice any sort of trends coming into play?
Well, Q1 25 was our best ever quarter. For us, I mean, we certainly saw, I think market-wide, but for us, luxury certainly performed well. Branded residences from an off-plan perspective, I think that was quite strong.
Yep.
A slight shift maybe, I think, between secondary and off-plan. I think that there were, we did, even our secondary agents closed off-plan sales. Likewise, though, our off-plan agents closed some secondary. So ultimately it's about the client. But I think certainly luxury, branded residences, and there was a slight shift, and then we did a bit more business in off-plan than we did in secondary.
Do you see that sort of continuing into the future, where there's well, obviously if we look at the transactions, off-plan seems to be more slightly dominant at this moment in time. Do you see any sort of shifting coming in that?
No, I think the current trend will carry on. I think it's really down to the fact that it's supply and demand. I say to my off-plan team that actually some of the best leads for off-plan are actually secondary leads, because you get a lot of clients who want to purchase secondary and they have in their mind, I'm looking to purchase X, but when it comes to it, X may not be affordable, and secondly, it may not be vacant, and then there may be an off-plan or a resale off-plan alternative. In
terms of locations at this moment in time, is there anything that you've noticed which is becoming more popular? Is the dynamic of buyers changing in terms of what they're interested in?
I think that you had a lot of buyers historically who were looking for investments, purely investments. They are still looking for investments, but I think more and more of those buyers were international, but now those international clients are probably moving to Dubai. Yeah. And so I think that's changing. I think we're seeing a demand certainly for more villas and townhouses, and the supply is lower for townhouses and villas, whereas for apartments there is more coming to the market, obviously. So I think that's an interesting metric which we're seeing right now. With regards to areas, I think you're going to look at like Dubai Hills is super popular. Tilal Al Ghaf. You've got a lot of new launches coming up by Tilal. You have a new launch coming up in Jumeirah Golf Estates. So there's a lot of new things coming to the market, but certainly even more traditional areas like your Emirates Living, your Jumeirah Park, Jumeirah Islands, Marina, downtown. The traditional older areas are overly popular still.
Yeah, I think that they're still very popular due to location is key, isn't it? But I think the more and more sort of infrastructure they start building a little bit further out, is just going to drive more and more demand there. Do I ever see that really affecting Dubai Marina or Dubai Mall? I think they've got some key landmarks within those locations which will always remain popular, and the sort of seafront living which you get within those locations. Is there any sort of future projects which you're really, really excited about?
Well, I think there's just so much coming up. Obviously, we have the office in Le Maire, and I still think if anyone's looking for what I genuinely feel is a good opportunity to get in right now, I still think Port de la Mer is good value for money. And I think there's just so much going on down that area, from the peninsula, for example, all the way coming down. You have so much coming up. You have Asura Bay coming up now. There's Sulea. There's so much coming up in that location. Maritime City, which has now been taken over obviously by the guys from Omniac/Beyond. Damaka doing stuff down. So I think that location going up to Dubai Islands is very interesting. But likewise, you could say the same going out towards Jebel Ali. There's just so much going on. Of course. But waterfront is always going to be, tick the box for number one in terms of client interest.
Let's talk about returns. What areas do you see are performing best at this moment in time, and what advice would you give to anyone sort of looking to purchase here in the UAE?
So you're talking purely about a return on investment rather than capital appreciation? Yeah. Because obviously they're two very different metrics. If you're talking about return on investment, I think a traditional 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in a geographic location such as Marina, downtown, you're talking 7-8% as a net return, which is fantastic. But likewise, though, if you were to go to more affordable areas, let's say, such as your international city, Discovery Gardens, I mean, the returns there are even higher, around 10%. So I think that, and again, this comes down to whether someone's interested in purely a return or looking at capital appreciation.
Let's look at capital appreciation then. What sort of advice would you be giving on that front?
So I think for capital appreciation, I would be looking more at townhouses and villas myself. I just think that the demand and supply, so as I mentioned earlier on, the supply currently is lower, demand is high. Again, a lot of these clients coming into Dubai that historically would have bought a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment are now looking for a 3, 4 or 5 bedroom villa for themselves. So I think that's just where the market segment is going, and you can see that with the upcoming launches now with Emaar and other such developers.
Have you noticed any change in buyers' behaviour, let's say of recent, with the current tariffs that are coming into play globally? Do you think that could potentially affect this market?
So I'm a super direct guy, right? I don't beat around the bush and I don't lie. A lot of people were talking about last month being amazing. Last month was good for us. But when that happened, certainly a level of deals in the secondary market that just took longer to close, or the clients just paused. We had a lot of clients, especially maybe some more historical people who've been in Dubai for a long time, traders and whatnot, and they were buying some units, and they certainly went, well, let's wait and see what happens. So I think the first half of April was a little bit interesting for some people. It didn't affect our off-plan sales, I have to say, but certainly the resale market, deals just took that little bit longer to conclude. However, towards the end of the month, things were certainly back on track. And I think with regards to that in general, I think, and I said this to the team, that ultimately people want to relocate to Dubai. And that's not going to change in the near future. Other countries around the world are in a right mess, right? So that demand for living in Dubai, the lifestyle and everything that comes with that is certainly going to carry on, and it will fuel the growth.
Sounds like you're quite optimistic about the market over the next 6 to 12 months. Do you see any changes, any predictions?
I don't see any changes, I really don't. I mean, any change that could happen certainly won't be from Dubai itself, or something that they're not doing well. I mean, they're doing so much in terms of the visas, the investments. Seeing a lot of these nomads coming into Dubai right now. They're really proactive in terms of welcoming people, and the demand is strong.
They do such a good job, don't they, to sort of avoid the outside noise of what's happening globally, to keep it on a sort of straight and narrow peg. Do you believe that in terms of prices sort of stabilising? Do you see them going up? Do you see the rental market maybe not being as popular as what I've been hearing within the market? Do you get any takes on that?
I think the rental market has slowed. But I don't see it going backwards. I just think that a lot of those potential tenants end up being buyers. And of course, the more properties that come onto the market, then you get the whole supply-demand issue changing. I think when it comes to the market in general, let's say from a sales perspective, I still think it's going to be a steady growth for the rest of the year. I think the thing is this, I think a lot of people got used to the pace of growth, what we had in 21, 22, 23, 24. It was like Dubai was running. Okay. And now Dubai is walking. At a decent pace. So the market is going to carry on growing, but maybe the pace of growth will slow.
With the rapid amount of launches happening, do you see that affecting any sort of price changes with the amount of handovers coming in the next couple of years as well?
I think we could see that. Again, you're talking about crystal ball moment, right? I think that if we're looking around Dubai historically, the developers, if they have a handover date of say January 27, sometimes there's a slight delay, which I think helps the market. Because ultimately the off-plan market needs the secondary market, because that's the real estate market. And it needs to be able to soak it up. Certainly, I think that the handovers coming up in 2027. At the moment, I have to be honest, I think that the population growth, the demand for Dubai real estate, if that carries on at the same pace, I don't see any issue whatsoever at all. And of course, Dubai's moving to such new geographic locations.
Of course.
When I first came here, it feels like many years ago now, going to ranches was like going into the middle of the desert, right? It was going so far out, but now it's just around the corner.
Is there any common mistakes you see that buyers are making more recently? Is there anything that you would maybe advise against?
I think the secondary buyers, as a rule, not for everybody, but do their homework a little bit more. I think, if I were an off-plan buyer now, I think it's very easy to get confused because there's so many launches coming up. So many things are the best of the best, or the tallest, or this or that. So I think it would be doing a bit more due diligence on the developers themselves, looking at what they've handed over. If it's one of the larger developers, I think that's a little bit different. If you're going to buy like an Emaar or a Shoba or a Damak, you know what they've done. But if you're looking at one of the smaller developers, great. I mean, we are a smaller developer, so we always, we have the show units ready. We have clients that can go and see our finished products that we did a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So I think that's more important. I think sometimes some buyers, especially if they're buying from abroad. I mean, the idea of, if I said to myself 5 years ago that we have client buying real estate over the phone, and they haven't seen it, I think I'm mad. So I think that's where clients just need to do a little bit more due diligence on what they're purchasing, and also to have an actual strategy. I think that may come an issue in the next few years, where some people had this mindset of, okay, I'm going to pay X amount and sell. But they didn't think about, well, what happens if I can't sell, or I don't want to sell, or I want to keep it. Some people didn't have that mindset.
That game is a little bit more sort of risk averse, isn't it, in terms of trying to play the short game rather than the long.
And that is, if I were an investor, that's probably where I'd be looking. I think there's opportunity in the off-plan resale market.
Okay.
I think in the next year or so, that's something that we're actively looking at, creating a team that within the off-plan department that actually focuses on the off-plan resales.
Yeah. And I suppose you guys have been doing off-plan for such a long time that initial off-plan transaction, a lot of them will start handing over. So if the job's been done well enough, and this is for all agents out there, if you've done a good enough job, you should be able to get that listing back and do the next transaction on it and the next transaction on it.
Well, I mean, we've done sales in the past where we sold to the client off plan, it came to handover, we took it under property management, we then rented it, and then a year or two later on we end up selling it. So it's a whole cycle with the client.
And that's where your sort of customer service and your skills come into play, isn't it? Which I suppose, because this market is, a lot of the agencies are a bit like a revolving door. They don't want to hang around long enough to see that process sort of flourish, and probably miss out on a lot of these opportunities. Which is a shame. It is a more long-term game for the investor, for the end user, but also for the real estate agent as well, because that one property could be very successful for that one individual over a 4 or 5 year period. If you were to make a bold prediction about the real estate market for this year in Dubai, what would that prediction be?
The current trends and what's happening around the world, I think Dubai real estate may become tokenized. And I do think that fractional ownership is going to start coming into play. When you look at tokenization that's happening now in Singapore and the US, and obviously the Dubai Land Department are at the forefront of looking ahead and looking at what's going on. The news, I think 2 days ago from Sheikh Mohammed, that AI is now going to be taught in school. It's a clear trend as to how the country is going, and obviously Dubai is becoming the home of crypto, and it's really trying to move forward. And I think that could start happening. I think that will happen at some point this year.
Very interesting. Have you got some inside information there?
Nothing I can share right now.
Perfect. So Paul, we're going to play a quick game called Trend or Trap. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some real estate ideas at you, and you can tell me whether a smart move, a trend, or a trap, which people should avoid.
Trend or trap, okay.
Okay? So we'll try and do this quick fire.
Sure.
All right? Maybe you can elaborate a little bit if you have any juice behind it. Okay, so number one, buying a property just because it's popular on social media. Trend or trap?
Trend.
Trend? Okay. Choosing where to live based on how Instagrammable it is.
Trap?
Yeah, I would probably think so as well.
You have to see it to believe it.
Well,
there's a lot on Instagram that isn't real.
I've seen it. Using AI tools to choose where to invest.
Smart.
Yeah? Okay. Trusting influencers' recommendations on properties.
Trend.
Yeah? Okay. A good trend? You think that's... I mean, they're doing it for money because they're getting paid to advertise properties, yeah?
Look, I think any client has to do their own due diligence.
Of course.
So,
which a lot of end users are doing more of these days. Comparison to the older days. Okay, crypto property purchases.
I don't think it's a trap. I think it's a trend. I think it will become a smart move.
Based on your last answer, yeah. Okay. Number 6, relying on virtual tours without visiting the property.
Off plan, obviously makes sense. You haven't got a choice. Unless it's a show unit. Secondary, I think it's going to become more popular, and I think it's going to evolve. You know, real real estate is a tangible asset, so you got to see it.
So sort of virtual reality taking over.
I think it's going to evolve. So I think currently it's a trend, but I think it's going to be smart again. I think it's just going to evolve and become a lot more real.
Okay, number 7, choosing a project because it has a luxury brand name attached to it. Trend or trap?
Trend.
Yeah. And number 8, going for a property because it went viral online.
Trend, could be trap.
Okay, sitting the fence in that one.
Yeah, I think I have to.
Thank you very much for joining us today. It's always good to catch up with you. If anyone out there is interested in purchasing, leasing, buying properties, investments, looking for some advice, Paul and his team at AQUA Properties would be more than happy to help you. Okay, so once again, thank you for joining the Real Estate Labs. Thank you very much, Paul. Good to see you.
And you, mate, thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening now to the Real Estate Lab with Bayut.